Well, hey you, welcome back. My name's Jack, the snacky snack that smiles Becky back. And today, we're looking up stories on the internet. Now remember, if you do like today's content, make sure you like and subscribe, support the channel, be a lovely person, and I will love your face. We start out in malicious compliance with a post by Puckik47. Preschooler is learning malicious compliance a little early. My 3-year-old son kept playing with dental floss this morning. He is notorious for pulling out the whole damn thing in a spaghetti-like mess. My husband kept asking him to put said floss back in the drawer to prevent him from pulling it all out. I was being lazy on a Saturday morning. Later, I popped up, and he still had it in his hands, but he didn't pull out any floss, so I went back to sleep. My husband was also annoyed that he was still holding the floss. He opened the drawer and let out an amused chuckle. Turns out the 3-year-old took the whole spool, still neatly rolled up, and left it in the drawer. He was freely and delightfully popping just the case open and closed. He wins. I'm going back to sleep. Comment from Getz. Maybe it's just because I'm not a parent yet, but I mostly think these stories like this are fascinating and amusing rather than annoying. Like, this is a great example of a tiny human brain using intentional logic to solve a problem. The thing most people don't realize until you are a parent, and unfortunately many parents fail to realize, kids are tiny humans with actual fully functional brains. They are ignorant, not stupid. That is, they only lack knowledge, not the ability to reason and think. Of course, as individuals go, some are stupid and some are geniuses, and most are in between. But on the whole, kids are a far sight more intelligent than most people assume. This next MC story, as you wish, dear student. I wasn't the one doing the malicious compliance, but I witnessed it all in the first row. Also, sorry for my broken English. Yesterday, I had my algebra class as usual. It was the first class after one of the 4 big exams that the course has. The class started as usual, but then one of my classmates began to speak. Teacher, I have a few comments about the exam, and I would like it if you'd listen to me. Of course, Daniel. Let's call him that. Go ahead. Well, it happens that I think that it was really unfair. Also, the fact that you made us use the equation we created in the first question in the last one is you just trying to sabotage our work. At that point, the other students and I realized what was happening, and many of us unmuted our mic to tell some sense into Daniel. However, when we started talking, the teacher just said, "Please, stay quiet. I want to listen to what your classmate has to say about it." Then my classmate continued speaking. I don't really care how many years you have been giving this lecture. You don't teach nearly as much as you demand from us in the exams. Be clear, this was not constructive criticism. He was just being a despicable human being. Well, Daniel, I'm really sorry about this, that you're saying that. What can I do about it? What can you do? I'll tell you. Just let us see the assessment paper. I don't really know how it is called. It is a piece of paper in which the teacher has all the students' names with the grades in front. So we all get to see how poorly you teach us. Then you can do another exam that really fits your abilities as a teacher. He said this completely confident that he just made the ultimate move to prove his point. The teacher just put his hands over his mouth and stared in the camera, as my phone was ringing like a wasp nest with messages from various classmates discussing how crazy that scene was. As you wish, dear student. I certainly want to. He reached for the sheet. Understand how it was possible for all your classmates to, well, he showed the paper sheet with all our grades to the camera, win with almost perfect score while you couldn't even get a 1.0. Everyone have gotten 4.5 to 5 scores in that exam. The best grade you can get is a 5.0, and the classmate that was complaining got a 0.8. Needless to say, he didn't say another word, and since that day, he has never joined another class session. This other malicious compliance story by Zenobia that. Want a busy writer to get your wet fantasy written for free? Sure, I'll get right on that. I write fan fictions as a hobby, and have been doing so for about a decade, give or take a few hiatus. Recently, I've had 4 ongoing stories to keep track of and develop, which means I more or less reserve at least 2 to 4 hours every weekday exclusively to writing. A reader approached me on one of the websites I publish, saying he had several requests for me. Keep in mind, a request isn't a commission. It's not paid work. But I was in a good mood, so I figured, hey, why the hell not? Maybe he has an interesting idea for a little short story. He offers me a list, and I pick the top one. A pairing with Asuka and Shinji from Neon Genesis Evangelion, one of the source materials I'm the most familiar with and have several previous works in. Sounds reasonable so far? And then he started to explain the details. He wanted me to, in no uncertain terms, write some prawn for him. Not just any prawn, but prawn with his specific swimsuit fetish, down to even linking me images of the swimsuits he wanted both characters to appear in, and made very clear he did not want his name to be mentioned in the story anywhere, asking me to just say it was an idea from a friend. My good mood had turned entirely to malicious compliance. Now, I had one idea I'd shelved many years ago for a short story involving that pairing, but it was set in the Omegaverse. For those who don't know, in the Omegaverse, on top of normal assigned, each person also has a type. Betas are normal people, alphas tend to be dominant and possessive, and can impregnate partners regardless of the alpha's birth, and omegas tend to be passive and submissive, and can be impregnated regardless of the omega's birth. There's some other stuff involved, but that's the basics. TLDR, it's pretty out there for most people, especially if it involves an alpha female paired with an omega male. There you go, turns out there's people out there who are into men getting impregnated. Okay. But perfect for MC. Hi, so I can write that for you, but since it's not a paid commission and you don't want to have your name mentioned, I'll need full creative control over it. You won't get to see it before it's posted. And I have a better idea for the male character's swimsuit. For reference, he wanted a Speedo.
Well, I really don't want to be mentioned, so I guess it's alright. Will I get a link to it once it's finished?
Absolutely. So I get to work. 1 week and almost 8,000 words later, it's finished. Despite it being malicious compliance, I still did my absolute best to make it a wholesome, lovely, entertaining read. And quite titillating, if you don't mind the whole role reversal thing. And it features the male character not in a Speedo, but in a female one-piece based on the uniform he wears in the original series, an officially licensed product of the franchise. I get it published, message the requester his link, and go to sleep. By the time I wake up, it has several likes and favorites over the 2 main websites I use, despite being set to mature rating. It's done surprisingly well. And I have a private message.
What the heck, OP? It's not really what I wanted. I don't think I really get it. Can you write me another one? I have several more ideas.
I have written exactly what we'd agreed on. This took me an entire week. I won't be taking any more requests from now. But you're free to contact me for an actual paid commission. In the comments, I have massive respect for fanfiction writers. I hang in the HP forums myself, and some of the stories are over 250,000 words. They are full-fledged, fleshed-out stories with intricate storylines that the authors spend years writing for fun in their spare time. That's legit dedication.
Our brains don't stop making stuff up. Send help!
Hey yo, just popping in for a quick sec to remind you all that your engagement and feedback is very important to me. Any personal thoughts or ideas is super appreciated. I do try to read all the comments that I can, even if it's to tell me to commit unlife. I'll give you a heart for that one. Anyway, as you were, moving on up into petty revenge now. Don't you ever frick with me. So this story takes place a couple of years ago. My then next door neighbor is a Karen who recently adopted a few dogs. At first, there was no issue, but then my driveway and lawn started getting more and more dog poo. Everyone who has dogs is very good at picking up after their pets, except for Karen. She denies it's her dogs, despite security footage showing it's clearly her and her damn dogs. The dogs are not trained well. Karen doesn't use leashes because they are barbaric, and sadly there is no law where we live about dogs being on leashes. She also has put them on vegan diets, which is clearly not doing well for the dogs. Karen also leaves the dogs in her backyard, and they bark at everything. We tried calling the police, but they don't do jack. The entire neighborhood is fed up with her. One day, another neighbor is having a barbecue, and the aroma wafts over to her house. Karen gets ticked off and heads over to the neighbor's house and gives them a lecture about animals and other stuff. At this point, we all have had enough of Karen's holier-than-thou attitude. 7 homes surrounding Karen decide to make Karen's day from this point on miserable. Since it's summer and we're all stuck at home, we all decide to start cooking outdoors. Some homes purposely get barbecue grills and smokers. I myself turned my fire pit into kitchen number 2. Every day, at least one of us is cooking some glorious meat dish, and the aroma goes straight into Karen's home. I try to cook at least one thing outside, especially if it's extra aromatic. We all have plenty of wood, thanks to our neighbor who recently took down a dead tree and gave everyone wood. A lot of wood. Karen complains and complains, and even tries to call the police, but obviously, we're doing nothing wrong. I just got some brisket to smoke for 16 hours. My other neighbor plans to roast an entire pig. In the comments, I believe it was in Australia when a Karen complained about her neighbor having barbecues. The whole neighborhood planned a community barbecue day. It was glorious. That is true, it was a thing that happened, I believe in Western Australia. Thing is, she wasn't just complaining though, she was actively trying to sue them for cooking outside. I mean, it's one thing when there's a smell or smoke blowing into your house because of your neighbor. It's another thing to try and sue them for it. This next petty revenge story by Sky Thunder. A short story of a Karen getting her just desserts, with a short bonus, sweet petty revenge story on Karen again. 2 for the price of 1, let's go. Backstory, this happened a few months ago, and I just remember it from my coworker telling me about how he had gotten a bit of petty revenge on a very entitled coworker. We work at a well-known major airline stationed overseas, but I am part of the team that was hired and based in the US. Only way to describe Karen is if she respects you, she will be an absolute angel to you, but if she doesn't respect you, she will make Satan look like an absolute saint. Another thing to note is Karen outranks me, due to her being in the airline longer than me, and my coworker, AC, in this story, as from his point of view, due to the fact she wanted the additional responsibilities in order to rise up in rank and position, and she did not like me or my coworker at all, which means she has tried to make our lives hell. Examples, from giving us critical information too late, being rude, and more. Also, every one of the airlines in that airport and airport staff doesn't like her, given that she tends to give them quite the attitude. So here's the cast with their names changed. AC, my awesome coworker, this is from his point of view. Karen, your normal entitled Karen, except she is working in the same company as you. Only thing I can describe her is if she respects you, she will be an absolute angel to you, but if she doesn't respect you, she will make Satan look like a saint. Story. This happened during the outbound flight, and due to COVID-19 restrictions and precautions, people had to have their temperatures scanned and the paperwork saying that they do not have COVID-19 to fly overseas. This duty tends to be rough, as passengers will sometimes disrespect you, and it isn't easy to take the abuse they can sometimes hurl at you. I have seen some of my coworkers in tears from the abuse they get. Karen, AC, can you do the temperature scan for us, please? Well, but Karen, you love the temperature scan. I mean, if I do it, you're just going to be complaining a lot later. Anyway, I need to check the passenger's boarding pass and passport before they board. Have fun. AC did this in front of the duty manager in a friendly customer voice tone. She ended up having to put up with some extremely rude passengers that day while on temperature check station. Later, post-flight, during the post-flight meeting, she was in tears due to a bunch of rude passengers. Since then, she stopped trying to sabotage AC, but still acted rude to him. Oh, and side note, I only found out about this when I saw Karen in tears, and the story itself a few days later from AC. Now here's the bonus. This is another revenge done to Karen. I only know the short version of it, and this did happen a couple of months before I joined the airline. I was told about this from my friends in the other airlines and staff in the airport who all conspired to get some petty revenge on Karen. The airline, me, AC, and Karen are a part of, has a policy that all bags that were sent to the flight must be loaded on the plane even if it may delay the flight. So, these other employees held a VIP luggage until the last second, hiding it at another airline's LD3 container. Karen was panicking, trying to find the luggage, ended up running around the massive airport trying to find it. The other airline staff and airport ground staff played dumb, even though they knew where the VIP bag was. She was desperate to find it, as she would have taken the blame for causing a delay of the flight, which would have been getting chewed out by the airline managers and airline headquarters and losing her nice end-of-year bonus pay, which is the equivalent of a few months' pay if you did your job at a really good level. They, airport ground staff, would end up loading it to the aircraft at the last second and didn't notify Karen that it was loaded until the plane left, and she found out by then. She was exhausted from running around the airport and peeved at what they did to her. Basically, everyone described her running around like a headless chicken while laughing at the petty revenge they pulled on her. Also, how those people knew a luggage was a VIP luggage is because it was tagged with VIP on the luggage tag. This is usually done so people know which luggage is ultra high priority and to treat that luggage with the best care in the world. This next story by Green Gamer. I spat water in my teacher's face. This is a short one, but I hope you still enjoy it. I was in year 1, or grade 2, so I was about 5 years old. In year 1, we have the same teacher for every subject. I didn't realize this at the time, but my teacher was a horrible person. She was racist, sexist, and had favorite students, and she didn't try to hide it at all. For some reason, she hated me. She would make fun of the fat students in ways we wouldn't understand because we were so young. The revenge. This revenge I didn't even mean to do. One break time, my friend dared me to fill my mouth with water and keep it there all break time. So I did, and clueless old me was so proud, I decided not to swallow it and bring it into lessons. She called the register, and when she called my name, I couldn't talk normally because I had a mouthful of water, but I still didn't want to swallow, so I answered with the water still in my mouth. I don't know if you have ever tried to talk with a mouthful of water, but you sound like you were doing a funny voice. She called my name again, so I answered again. A few people were giggling at my funny voice. She called up my name to the front of the class. She knelt down to my face level, saw my cheeks, and thinking they were full of air and I was trying to be funny again, she took both of her hands and squeezed my cheeks. I remember seeing the water soak her shirt and face and seeing it start to drop off her chin as the entire class burst into laughter. We had a supply teacher the rest of the day, and the best part, she wasn't ever mean to me again. Thanks for reading this. This is my first post here, so I don't know if it belongs here or something, but yeah.
That does us for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're looking at my face right now, that means you liked this video. So all I appreciate is if you would like the video back. Because if you like it, then I'll like you for liking the video, and then I can make more stuff for you to like that you can like. And it'll be just a constant cycle of never-ending pain and suffering. So don't do it alone. Suffer with me. I don't know where I was going with that. If you haven't subscribed but you want to see some more content, then please, what are you waiting for? Click that notification bell so you're always updated on the latest content. And hey, why not check out some other videos while you're here? But anyway, that does me for today. Thank you again for watching. You're an amazing person. I love rambling at you. And I look forward to you staring at me beyond the abyss again soon. I can't close well. Don't at me, okay? My name's been Jack. Bye-bye. You're amazing. See ya!